After Hajime left the plaza, Shizuku made Kyoki drink the holy water and he recovered in no time. The puppet soldiers that Eri had numbered up to the 500 people, and out of them, it seems that 300 were turned into minced meat at the plaza by Hajime. Most likely, the missing soldiers went with freed through the gate into Monsenjoku territory. Although it was later found out in the investigations that the magic formations were created from the huge magic stone which was buried in the earth on the outskirts of the kingdom, that appears to have been the secret to Fritz being able to transfer his military. Also, it appears that the king and the other influential leaders were all killed by the Ares puppet soldiers. Currently, the seat of the king within Hyori Kingdom was open. Until the confusion subsides, Tiriana and the safe Queen Ruruaria will be taking the lead in the kingdom's reconstruction. Most likely, once they have settled down, Princess Rendell, who was also safe, will be ascending to the throne. The number one cause of the confusion was that there was no communication with the church. Even though the kingdom was turned into such an amazing state, widespread uneasiness and distrust was spreading throughout the followers as the church didn't appear during or after the war at all. The truth was, everyone related to church were already blown into nothingness by the explosion at the head temple. If citizens were heard about that, what would they think is the question that a boy with white hair somewhere held in his interest in his mind. Also, the pillar of light which annihilated the Mozenjoku large army was Ethos Sama's light of condemnation, which was released in order to save the kingdom, is what the rumors says have been circulating. It was incredibly painful story that their faith was further strengthened. Hajime was wondering if he should release a rumor that it was due to the goddess of fertility once again. However, if Aiko heard about that, she was likely to suffer no end in her mind. People began to wonder of the reason why the church wasn't coming down from Komiyama, and naturally they wanted to climb up to find out. However, there was so much to be done for the reconstruction of the kingdom, so there wasn't anyone to go up to the 8,000 meters above the ground. By the way, because Hajime and them stopped the lift, the only way to reach the head temple was scaling up the mountain. Also, Hiyama's remains were found at the little distance away from the plaza. His body was consumed and massacred here and there. After being completely beaten up by Hajime and blown out of the plaza, sure enough, he was attacked by demons. Yeah, that's good. It was thought that he was still alive when he got consumed because it appears that there were traces of the intense resistance. In particular, his left arm was completely missing, judging from the traces of the blood. With his left arm consumed first, he ran away desperately for his life, and then the side of his body was being eaten, which caused him to die. If you tried to imagine it, it was likely one of the worst ways to die. With that, a variety of things turned up, and 5 days have passed since the betrayal and the death of the friends from the Mozinjoku invasion. It's needless to say anything about Shuju, who was on the good terms with Eri, but the classmates who were caught up in her obsession and insanity suffered a deep mental wounds. After Hiyama and Kondo's death, Nakano and Saito, who was always together with them, became Hikagomori. Well, this term means that socially I mean like shut-ins. They are all they are all shut in inside their rooms. They are not getting out of there and not talking to anyone. That's what the sickness is. Along with those who sustained deep mental wounds, Kyoki and them were asked by Ririana and them to lend their powers in reconstructing the kingdom in order to recuperate and recover. Since that day, Hajime and them had not shown up, so they were frequently looking back at that. All members of the front lines and the Aichan's bodyguard should have known of Hajime's power, but they still didn't know of the overwhelming power of the Pillar of Light, which annihilated the large army. Once again, they were forced to feel their difference in power. Of course, they can't even struggle against Eri, and Hajime just obliterated the 100,000 demons in one go with one pillar of light. So, because Kyoki and them knew of that, they took on the less shock than stay behind group. Although they heard of Hajime's power from returning members, they now knew that they had only understood 1 out of 10,000 of Hajime's true terrifyingness. Anyone and everyone could do nothing but be concerned about Hajime, his comrades, and Kyouri, who he took with him. And the remarkable one was Shizuku. Although she is doing exactly what needs to be done, once in a while she stare off into the distance with eyes that seems to be looking at for something in her heart. It was clear that she was it was clear to everyone that she was thinking about Kyori. The classmates who witnessed Kyori's death were unsure what to say about it. From the talk that Hajime had with Shizuku, it seems to have been something about Kyori coming back to life, but they were skeptical as the task of reviving a dead person was likely impossible, and because of that, they weren't able to comfort themselves. They suspected that it was probably something just like how Eri did. She will be brought back like a doll. In that case, it was easy to imagine that Shizuku would become further damaged because of that, especially Kyoki, who always questioned himself as he watched Hajime and them. Kyoki himself was extremely down that he was unable to do anything once again and saved twice by Hajime. The fact that Kyori left him for Hajime, Kyoki recognized it within himself, was also added in, but he wasn't able to hold any good feelings for Hajime. It was the so called jealousy, however, Kyoki himself was not aware of it. It wouldn't be easy for himself to admit it even if he noticed it. If he recognized it, whether he moves forwards or look away of convenience depends on himself. Both Kyoki and Shizuku couldn't be said to have been on the bright state because Ryotaro is a muscle for brains, he is not reliable, and all the classmates were depressed in general. At times like this, it was usually the Bishuzu's time to be show her abilities and as a mood maker and brighten things up. Without a question, the actual person is in low tension. The smiles that she shone occasionally were painful. It seems to be majorly due to Eri what she said to her. It's understandable. Throughout many years, the person who was thought to have been the best friend had only thought of her on the level of being convenient tool. Even still, the entire class hasn't completely fallen. The only person moving in order to reconstruct the kingdoms single-mindedly was probably only Aiko. Aiko was also worried about Kyori. If she could do anything, but when weighted against what Hajime and them were trying to do with Yue and Tio, there she understood that she had no turn. That's why she couldn't neglect the students who remained damaged on the ground and decided to stay. Well, it's good that Aiko is at least knows what needs to be done. Since you and Tio can all do what they can in rejuvenating Kyori, Aiko doesn't need to use her power and she can help Kyoki and them in order to recover and the kingdom. Because Aiko family had one-on-one communication with her students and encouraged all of her students to work to their potential, they were able to move on now. By the way, Aiko had obviously known what had happened to the church. Although she knows more about it than anyone else, she stubbornly sealed her lips. Of course she should. She must. That was in order to that was in order to not obstruct Hajime and them. And at the same time, every time she remembers what she had done, her mouth becomes heavier. Where even if it was an unexpected result, her resolution to go through was with it was true. That's why when Hajime and them came back, she planned on telling Ririana and them the truth. Police officer, it's me. Although Aiko seemed to have been behaving brightly, On the inside, she was trembling with fear. She herself aided Tio in the obliteration of the church. If students had known that she was involved in the blast which killed the star and them and the knights, then what exactly would they think of her? She fought because she was resolute to not allow her students to become toys in the war any longer. Although she doesn't regret about the matter, a murderer is still a murderer. She was surely already prepared that her students would no longer call her Sensei. It should be noted that David and them, the IQ bodyguard temple knights, were still alive and well. That was because after Aiko had disappeared, they were protesting to the upper brass. Let us meet her. Many times, and after that was confirmed to never be fulfilled, they decided to search for themselves. The upper brass, who were fed up, decided to lower them onto ground level and restricted them from going into the head temple. And that's how they managed to barely escape from the death at the head temple at the time. Currently, they are listening to Aiko's words and working hard to help out this and that for the reconstruction. With those kind of feeling, Aiko and the students were respectively holding on their own weight in their minds and helping out with Liliana today to reconstruct the kingdom. Today's agenda was to reform the kingdom's knights and employ commanders of to each squad at the drilling ground. By the way, a new knight leader's name was Kuzeri Rael. It was a female knight and a formerly Liliana's imperial guardsman. The vice commander's name was Nate Komorodo. He was the previous commander of the third Knight unit. Thanks for the hard work, Kyoki-san. During the mock battle screaming test, Kyoki had been working as a partner for the knights who he was wiping his sweat at the edge of the drilling grounds, and those words of appreciation rang out. When Kyoki turned his line of sight towards it, Ririana was coming over with a smile. No, this isn't much of a big deal. As for yourself, Riri, you have barely gotten any sleep recently, huh? Really, thanks for the hard work. When Kyoki shoved a weary smile in return, Ririana also shoved a weary smile. Both of them hardly had any time to sleep over the past few days. To begin with, the reason why their sleeping time was cut down was due to completely different reasons. That's because right now is not the time for sleeping. Casualty is dealing with the loss of the beloved pupil, disposing buildings which collapsed, confirming missing pupil, repairing the Great Barrier and the outer wall, reports and communication with each district, deploying soldiers to investigate the surroundings, reorganizing. This is serious. They are all the things that needs to be done. Even if I whine about it, there's no other way. Mother also have shared the burden, so I can still go on. The people who are truly suffering are those who lost the important people and their property. If you are saying that, then even you, when what Ridiana had said, sorry, from what Ridiana had said, Kyoki tried to point out that even she lost the king, which was her father, but even if he said that, nothing would change, so he shut his mouth. Riri sympathized with Kyoki's feelings and said, I'm fine, with a smile once again, and then changed the topic. How Shizuku's holding out? She hasn't changed. Usually it's the same usual Shizuku, but it, without noticing it, she looks above from time to time. As Kyoki was saying so, he glanced towards Shizuku who was talking with the Kuzari at the center of the drilling grounds. The two were probably friends through Ririana. They seemed to be discussing something rather intimately. However, the conversation was suddenly interrupted and naturally her eyes glanced upwards. In other words, you could tell she was looking towards the top vicinity of Kamiyama. She's waiting for them, huh? That's right. Being honest, the thing that Nagumo said is too untrustworthy. Although I'd like for Shizuku and them to meet, I think this line's of one of those lines where I got confused as to what they are really saying. Rihanna had slightly surprised expression as she turned her glance from Shizuku to Kyoki. Kyoki's expression had a complicated color. It was clear that what he said was not according to what he thought. Jealousy, suspicion, fear, pride, gratitude, antipathy, various feelings were mixed in with impatiently. His expression was difficult to express. Rihanna couldn't find the right words to say to Kyoki. She looked towards at the top of the Kamiyama where Hajime and them should be. The sky was clear. It's as if crisis of extinction from the few days ago never happened. That sky looked as if it was happy-go-lucky mood. Rihanna held slightly bitter feelings towards it and continued looking up at the sky. Then, at that time, she began to see a few black dots in the sky. With a doubtful look, Rihanna narrowed her eyes and noticed that those black dots were gradually growing bigger. She noticed that something was falling down and panickingly she called out to Kyoki by her side. Kyoki-san, there, isn't something falling down? He? What are you saying? Everyone, watch out, something coming from the above. Rihanna's attitude surprised Kyoki, but as he looked up in the sky, he confirmed that something was definitely falling down. Get down, it's an enemy attack, he warned out loudly with an impatient expression. Shizuku and them were panickingly and quickly evacuated from the drilling grounds and went beside Kyoki and them. Simultaneously, something landed onto the drilling ground. Zudu! The earth trembled when whatever was falling crashed. As the dust of clouds danced about, what appeared from it was Hajime, Yue, Shia, and with Tio, it was four people. Nagumo-kun. The first one to take off was Shizuku. Exactly like Hajime said, she believed in them and waited. Having excess momentum was unavoidable. However, within Hajime and them, Kyori's appearance was nowhere to be seen. Her expression gradually became uneasy and darkened. Yo, Yagashi, are you living properly? Nagumo-kun, where's Kyori? Why is Kyori not here? Shizuku relaxed somewhat after Hajime's joke. However, it was the truth that Kyori was not in front of her. As expected, it must have been too hard to overturn Kyori's death. She was already unable to hide her uneasiness and asked with a trembling voice. On the other hand, Hajime had indescribably vague expression. Ah, she will be here soon. It's just that her appearance may have changed a tiny bit. Because of that, see, it will be troubling if you place the blame on me. It's not my fault, so don't get mad. Hey, wait a bit. What? What is that? It makes me extremely uneasy though. What do you mean? What did you do to Kaori? Depending on the circumstances, with the black katana you gave me. Towards Hajime's words, which only further unfeigned the flames of uneasiness, Shizuku had turned in her eyes Shizuku's highlight in her eyes disappeared and she slowly began to extend her black katana on her waist. Dudu! Hajime was suppressing Shizuku and suddenly they began to hear the scream from the sky. Kya! Hajime, catch me! When Shizuku and them were wondering what was it and looked up, they saw something with the silver shadow falling down with a bristling speed. With Shizuku's excellent kinetic vision, she saw that a woman with silver hair with blue eyes who had the beauty that could compete with the beautiful works of art that a historical named artist produced and against her cool appearances she was falling down while awkwardly flinging her arms and legs with the tears in her eyes and a miserable expression. The silver eyes and blue-eyed woman came straight down, plunging towards Hajime. From her eyes, you could see that she trusted that she could be caught. But betraying such things was Hajime's quality. In place where he was supposed to catch her, the moment before they collided, he suddenly jumped backward. His glance averted from the woman's eyes and she crashed into the ground as if she was being consumed by the earth and becoming dot-eyed. Everyone had trembling expression as they looked towards Hajime, who had no intentions of catching her. She is dead, right? However, after the sand of cloud cleared up again, the beautiful woman with the silver hair and blue eyes appeared. Aiko and Rihanna both raised a warning like a scream. Why are you? Everyone, get back! She's a dangerous person who kidnapped Aiko and lent Iri her hand. Towards those words, Kyoki and all others classmates at the spot, Kazuri and all other knights all simultaneously picked up their weapons, especially Shizuku, who was close to Hajime and them, who immediately prepared to perform the quick draw on the spot. She had piercing eyes filled with the murderous intent for the person who had lent a hand to Kaori's death. If an opening appeared, she would immediately cut her down. Towards the other party, which glared at her, Nonitos, who had a pretty face like a work of art and a silver hair with a blue eyes, as if she didn't suffer any damage at all from the crash, moved agilely and Hajime with a reproachful eyes. And easily stood up, and for a moment she glanced at Hajime with reproachful eyes, and unbelievably she had no emotions or expression like a machine now carried them, and panickingly she spoke towards Shizuku. Let me reread it more comfortably. She glanced at Hajime with reproachful eyes, and unbelievably, she, who had no emotions or expression like a machine, now carried them. Like earlier, she didn't have any expression. She was just like a machine who was carrying out the will of the god. But now, because Kyori's is in her, she now carried the expression and she spoke with Shizuku. Wait, Shizuku-chan, it's me. Shizuku had a suspicious expression towards the woman who called out her name on their first meeting, appealing for themselves. Hajime, who was by the side, muttered out, "You look like a shady scammer." The woman keyed at him with a glare, then looked away. It was impossible for Aiko and them to not think of her as an enemy. Although the appearance and the voice was different, the strange woman's casual gestures and the atmosphere when calling out for herself was like of the shadow of her best friend. While gently relaxing her quick drop position, she spaced out and suddenly muttered the name of her best friend. Kaori? Are you Kaori? Was she extremely glad that Shizuku had no was she extremely glad that Shizuku had noticed that it was her? The silver-haired, blue-eyed woman had a bright face and replied with a lively, bright voice. I'm Kaori, Shizuku-chan's best friend, Shirasaki Kaori. Although my appearance has changed, I'm properly living. Kaori? Shizuku was stunned for a bit. Although she had no idea how things turned out the way they did, even still, with the fact that her best friend was still alive and in front of her, finally soaking in, she embraced Kaori, who had obtained a newly body of a silver-haired, blue-eyed woman, with all her might as she cried out tears like rain. Kaori was also sobbing like a baby, and like Shizuku, she embraced her back tightly and quietly whispering gently, "I'm sorry to have buried you. I'm fine now. I'm fine." I'm glad, so glad. They both buried their faces in each other's necks, and Shizuku and Kaori firmly confirmed each other's existence. Everyone who saw it was completely stunned. For a while, the cries of warmth and tenderness resounded throughout the drilling ground. So then, what exactly does this mean? With eyes dyed red and swollen from tears, Shizuku's cheeks were blushed with the same amount of shame. And determined to hide her shame, she demanded an explanation of the circumstances. The current location has switched from the drilling grounds to the large hall where Kyoki and them usually eat. In regards to Shizuku, it was explained that at heart she was Kaori, but the body belonged to someone named Nonito. From time being, Liliana urged that they move to the calmer place. However, it wasn't only Shizuku who came, all the classmates as well as Aiko and Ririana were attending. Well, let's see. Cutting straight to the chase. Using magic, Kaori's soul was protected. Nonito's corpse remains. We restored it and took it over. I see. I don't get it at all. Shizuku just stared at Hajime as he gave off his extremely simple explanation. From the stare, it was clearly saying, "Is that all there is to it? Huh?" With an insecure look. In place of Hajime, who had an expression that his motivation for explaining was zero, Kyori decided to explain with an amazed expression. Eto ne, Shizuku-chan. You know that the magic we are using are now the degraded version from the forgotten magic from the past called the Age of Gods magic, right? Yes, I've studied some of this world's history. It's the magic that appears in the mess about how this world was created. Rather than the current attribute magic, they were fundamental magic in uses. Wait, do you mean to say that it's that kind of thing? The Edge of Gods magic that Nagumo and you guys have is the spirit type, a power that allows you to interfere with the person's soul. With that, the spirit of the dead Kyori was protected and settled in a different body, right? Right, as expected of Shizuku-chan. For some reason, Kyori was sticking out her chest proudly. In fact, the rate Shizuku's brain able to process things were fast. Hajime had also known of this before, but inside of himself, he was once again impressed. But why in that body? Was Kyori's body no longer alright? I thought that you guys could somehow manage to heal the wounds that was inflicted on her heart with the recovery magic though. Ha! The truth is, Kyori's body is already healed completely and it's possible to return her soul into it. Spirit magic was mind-blowing Age of Gods magic where you could literally stay immortal, young, though continuously fixating your own soul. By fixating it through magic which preserved the dead spirit, it was interfered with in order to not allow to deteriorate nor disappear at first. This was what Tio performed on Kyori. However, it was lucky that Tio made it in no time because it's ineffective if several minutes have passed since death. By establishing just as it says, regardless of the fixated spirit, they will be established whether it's organic or inorganic matter. Bodies which have started decaying would still cause them to die once again, even if they establish themselves because it wouldn't be it wouldn't be suitable for survival. However, it will be possible with an healthy body. It's also possible to leave the ways from time and become immortal like the Merody Raisin who established herself as a golem. Obviously, this magic isn't so simple that it can be done without a proper testing and training. It was successful precisely because you and Tio were naturally talented at magic. Even still, it took 5 whole days to properly establish. Then why? What happens to Kyori's original body? There must be some kind of a problem then. Shizuku-chan, calm down. I'll explain it properly. While calming down Shizuku, Kyori continued to explain. At first, Hajime had attempted to return Kyori's spirit back to her original body, which they have healed with reproduction magic. However, the one who told them to wait was Kyori. Even while stuck in the state, spirit guidance can be conducted to communicate with the soul. Kyori, who was still in the spirit state, had heard of the Miradi Raisin and requested that she be placed into a golem like her. If it was Hajime, then he should just be able to prepare a powerful golem. At Marujin Underwater Ruin, Kyori has realized her own powerlessness. She also had no intention to stay the way she was now. She also had no intention to give up standing next to Hajime as well as. At that point, she knew that she would easily be killed, cowardly, miserably, and mortifyingly. If so, then she thought that what if I tossed away my human body? Once Kyori was resolute on something, she became surprisingly stubborn. Although Hajime and them had tried to talk her out of it, she wouldn't listen. That determination was so strong that it made Hajime raise both of his hands in surrender. With no other choice, Hajime had decided to create the strongest golem he could. However, suddenly the light bulb inside the Hajime's head lit up. I can use that, can't I? Right, it was Nonito, who Hajime had pierced through her heart. After Hajime recovered Nonito's remains, Yue used the reproduction magic to restore all the wounds. The strong body of God's apostle had become Kyori's new vessel. It was a great success when establishing the soul to it. Unfortunately, although the organ like magic stone which supplied infinite magic power was reproduced, it was not functioning. However, Nonito's inherent magic decomposition and her dual yielding sword skills and the silver wings and feathers were usable. It appears that Nonito's body remembers all the previous combat experiences and knows how to use it. Although she is unable to fly right now because the body is still new, once she gets accustomed to it, she'll likely be able to exert God Aphosel's true abilities. Now that she can directly manipulate the magic, she is well qualified to shoulder with Hajime and them. Kyori, who was happy about that her spirit was successfully established onto the body that was incredibly amazing at sight, after all, she had an appearance of a cool beauty, and she was making a fuss with kya noises and a big smile. The opponent, which Hajime was just fighting with not too long ago, was making such a happy face. In addition, she was clinging onto him, as expected. Even Hajime didn't know this would happen, and his eyebrows were turned into question mark. By the way, Kyori's real body was still stored in the treasure warehouse while receiving US freezing treatment. A beauty frozen in ice created a very mysterious feeling. Since cells that were ruined after the being thawed out can be restored by reproduction magic, if she wanted to go back to her body, the possibility of it is extremely high. I see. Haha. Kyori, you have always been a bit spontaneous since a long time ago, but this time surpasses all of those. After hearing Hajime's explanation, Shizuku placed a hand on her head to suppress her headache. Her headache was worse than the time she was asked what Hajime's favorite game was, so she visited the game store only to have mistakenly charged into the X rated game corner. Hehehe, sorry to make you worry, Shizuku-chan. It's fine, as long as you are still alive then. Shizuku said while smiling at Kyori, who had an apologetic expression. Then she suddenly strengthened her posture and changed her expression into a serious one, then turned towards Hajime and them and bowed her head. Nagumo-kun, Yue-san, Shia-san, Tio-san, thank you very much for saving my best friend. Although my debts are continuously rising and I have nothing to return in exchange, I'll never forget this favor throughout my life. If there's anything I could do, then feel free to ask. I'll do my best to respond to it. You are as honest as ever. Ma, don't mind it so much. We just help out our own companion. Shizuku shot a weary smile towards Hajime's light reply. It wasn't just Kyori, they all saved as well. Their lives were saved twice at that. Even after being saved from their predicaments, most likely the results of the clash was convenient for Hajime's own circumstances as well. His state of mind was already something that could only laugh at how different it was. And somehow the calm mood also had a hint of spitefulness in it as well, Shizuku sharply pointed out. Considering all that, although you were also worried about me, you gave me the medicine for Kyoki's sake, right? If you had broken, then if you had been broken, then Kyori would have been troublesome. Troublesome, you say? That's mean, Hajime-san. Replying to Shizuku's sarcastic remark, Kyori Tsukuyomi also came flying though. Besides, Hajime continued, just like the certain sensei has said, I should not walk down a lonely life, though I cannot afford to pay attention to everything. If it's this much, then... Nagumo-kun? Aiko, who kept silent for a while, Shizuku and Hajime and them had their conversation, looked towards the Hajime with moistened eyes that were overflowing with emotions due to Hajime's words. The other students were strangely admiring that Aiko-chan's teaching properly reached Hajime, who had become overly haughty. It seems that Aiko was more impressed than they were though. Shizuko and Yue and them sensitively felt that some other kind of heat was also included in Aiko's eyes. Ah, she is the next woman, most probably, though we are not sure. Kyori appearance was like it can't be, asking for confirmation. She lined her side with Shizuko and Yue and them. Yue and them nodded with a sharp look in while Shizuko averted her eyes and looked up towards the sky. Shizuku sensed that a delicate atmosphere was beginning to build up and decided to continue talking in order to return the atmosphere back to normal. There was mountain of things that she wanted to ask. On that day when Shensi was kidnapped, can we hear what you wanted to tell us that day? That talk surely had some kind of relation with the Nagumo-kun and them acquired Edge of God's magic, right? Hajime heard Shizuku's words and turned his gaze towards Aiko. Silent pressure hung over Aiko's to explain the situation. While clearing out her throat, Aiko began to explain Hajime's purpose for traveling and then she began to explain about everything from the events when she was held at the head temple and when the knights were in bed and when the kingdom was invaded. After she finished explaining everything, the first person to raise the voice was Kyoki. What's with that? Then are you saying that we are just dancing on the palm of the god's hand? Then why didn't you tell us about it sooner? You could have told us when we meet up again at Orcus. With a criticizing look and a voice, however, Hajime only glanced at Kyoki as if he was troublesome and didn't say anything. He was ignored. Towards that attitude, Kyoki got up from his seat with a gattish noise and filled with hostility towards Hajime. How about saying something? If you told me about it sooner then. Wait a bit, Kyoki. Shizuku's urge wasn't heard. Hajime frowned annoyingly at Kyoki, who had lost his temper. After letting out a grand sigh, he looked towards Kyoki as if it was bothersome. If I had said it, would you have believed me? What was that? At any rate, you are a person who believes in your own convenient interpretations. Would the large majority of people believe that God had gone mad when told so? I knew it would have been meaningless to tell you about it. Far from believing in me, rather, you would criticize me instead. That kind of scene comes to mind. But if you had explained it clearly, repeatedly, then are you stupid? Why would I have to go through such a length, bone-breaking stack for you guys' sake? Surely, you are not expecting just because I'm your classmate. That's I'll naturally lend your power, right? Saying such foolishness is just like a second Hiyama. Towards Hajime's glare, which was like permanently frozen ground, all the classmates averted their eyes. But it seemed that Kyoki wasn't convinced and continued to stare severely at Hajime. Kyoki didn't notice that Yue, who was next to Hajime, was looking at him with a fed up eyes, declaring, You have been saved twice, so why are you behaving like this? But if we are going to fight God together from now on. Wait, hero. Laughs. When did I say that I was going to fight a god? Don't just decide things on your own. Naturally, I'll kill them if they come after me from the other sides, but I have no intention of going around to search for them. Besides, I just want to go through all the Great Labyrinth and quickly return home to Japan. Kyoki's eyes opened widely when those words were said. No, surely you don't mean to say that whatever happens to the people of this world, alright? Are you? If you don't do something about God, people will continue being his plaything from now on and onwards. Are you perhaps to abandon them? I am not willing to use my powers for the sake of someone whose face I don't even know. Why? Just why? Aren't you stronger than us? If you have such power, then you should be able to do anything. If you have power, then shouldn't you use it for the right things? Kyoki was howling. As always, his words were overflowing with justice. However, such words were against the person who, to begin with, didn't reach Hajime. Hajime looked at Kyoki as if he was a stone on the roadside. If you have a power, huh? That's exactly why you always been growling on the ground. I believe that power should be used with clearly defined intentions. If you don't do something because, you don't do something because you have power, because you want something, you use power. If you are something, if you are saying that just because you have the power, you have to do it regardless of your will, then that's probably nothing more than a curse. That will is too feeble. Or rather, I have no intention of arguing about which path you and I take. Anything more than this will be annoying, and so I'll seriously send you flying. After Hajime said that, his eyes returned to normal as if he had no interest in Kyoki and them. From his attitude, Hajime was serious about himself and the world. Kyoki realized that it wasn't out of a grudge or nor hatred. He simply had no interest. After the reason why he lost was set out, he kept quiet while shaking violently. I have a strong will. He wanted to object, but for some reason those words wouldn't come out. The other classmates as well somehow understood that Hajime coming back and teaming up with them is just a pipe dream, and they trembled violently when they thought that they might seriously end up like Hiyama if they said things poorly. After all, even though they weren't just puppets, their opponent was someone who had no agitation and turned all the knights, including Meld, into chunks of meat. As for the stay behind group, they couldn't even look at Hajime in the eye after he fell into hell. As expected, you won't be staying around. I wanted you to at least stay until the defense system of the kingdom was repaired. The person who requested it was Ririana. As of now, confusion was still within the kingdom. Although the magic formation which allowed the large scale transfer magic was removed, there were still in a state where it was unknown when the Mozenjoku would be attacking once again, so Hajime and them were an existence which didn't want to part with. Fred, who seemed to be the other party's general, only withdrew because of Hajime was here. With just Hajime and them being here, they were already the kind of repellent. Since things were already established with God of Fossil, I want to hurry up ahead. Resurrecting Kyori already took 5 days as well. I plan on leaving tomorrow. Though Ririana's shoulders dropped after Hajime and them had left, there was no way of stopping Freed and them, so as a princess she needed to hold on to them. Is there anything? At least that pillar of light. That's also one of Nagumo-san's artifact, right? Can you allow us to use it for the kingdom's protection? I'll do everything I can to reward you for it, so... Huh. Hyborian, huh? It's impossible. That thing broke after the first blow. It was a prototype after all. If I don't improve it, then Hajime's annihilation weapon, Hyborian, that erased the huge army of demons and Mozenjoku, in short, a sunlight convergence ledger. Before going down Kamiyama, he flew up to retrieve it. Hyperion was an enormous air flame lens which converts sunlight. It can also charge itself while inside the treasure warehouse, which had heat carrying capacity installed in it. Enormous heat which critically overflowed from the treasure warehouse would be discharged through the launching entrance where gravity magic was added in to make the discharge towards the ground. And Hyperion's biggest feature was the fact that it could still converge the sunlight even while it was night. Its secret was due to the Oscar Orcus false sun which lightened up his room. You know that there was a sun inside the labyrinth of the Orcus right after they cleared the labyrinth. It's the reference to that. So that thing sunlight was created through reproduction magic along with the space magic. It was thorough collaboration with the liberators who combined their Age of Gods magic as Hajime couldn't understand at first. Even Hajime as of now is still unable to create a false sun, plus Hyperion was still in its experimental stage as well. It wasn't able to withstand its own weight and broke down, so it can no longer be shoot anymore. To begin with, Hyperion wasn't the only annihilation weapon that Hajime had created, but of course he won't say that he had anything extra. Is that so? After hearing Hajime's words, once again Ririana's shoulders dropped down. There, Kaori, Shizuku, and Aiko pierced Hajime with glares. The three people already know of Hajime's stance. Although Hajime did say that he'll consider people in his surroundings to some extent, fundamentally the fact that he is indifferent about this world didn't change. Reaching out towards the surrounding was so that Reaching out towards the surrounding was so that sadness wouldn't inflict indirectly reach you and them. That's why the three people didn't actually say anything. They don't, but their persuasiveness was shown in their eyes. Although Hajime had been ignoring them for a while, drinking his tea, he lets out a murmur because they were so persistent. Before we leave, I'll at least fix the Great Barrier. Nagumo-san, thank you very much. Hajime ignored Rihanna's not sure how am I supposed to expression which was shining with is this alright then? He glanced towards Kaori and them. The three people as well as Rihanna returned a joyful smile at Hajime. Somehow or the another it became really sweet now. He thought. Even you and Shia besides them were smiling at him. This isn't bad I guess. Hajime let out a bitter smile as he shrugged his shoulders. And where are you guys planning on heading out, Nagumo-kun? If you are aiming for Age of Gods magic, then you will be going for the Great Labyrinths, right? If you come from the west, then is it the Sea of Trees? Ah, that's our intent. I had planned to go via Furion, but heading partly towards the south is bothersome. So I think we'll just go towards the east. After hearing what Hajime had planned, Liliana's expression was as if she had thought of something. Then, will you be passing through Empire's territory? It will probably happen. If so, then would it be alright if I tagged along as well? What for? There are mountains of things to talk with them, the Empire, and about the kingdoms being invaded. The messenger and ambassadors had already left for the Empire, but it's best to talk face to face and as early as possible, right? With Nagumo-kun's transportation artifact, going to the Empire would be quick, right? That's why I was wondering if I could board on as well and have a direct talk over there. Hajime was amazed at Ririna's bold plan and how she worked her way up towards it. If she if he thought about it, she was the princess who in order to get help ran away from the kingdom and traveled through the caravan. Thinking of it, he was strangely convinced that it was natural that she would naturally think of such an idea. And since it wasn't much trouble to just lower her down as they went along their path, his mind consented that it was all right. However, he didn't forget to give a warning. Dropping you off is fine, but we won't be entering the Empire. We'll never accompany you to the meeting with the Emperor. Fufu, don't don't say such imprudent things. Just dropping me off is more than enough. Rihanna unintentionally let out a weary smile after Hajime's cautious remark. Then Kyoki, who was silenced by Hajime, began to talk again. If that's so, then we'll also tag along. Riri can't be left alone with someone who thinks nothing of this world. We'll be the guards along the way. Besides, if Nagumo doesn't plan on doing anything, then I'll save this world. For that purpose, power is needed. The power of Age of Gods magic. If we tag along with you guys, we'll be able to obtain Age of Gods magic, right? No. I'll tell you their location, so don't come without permission. If you tag along, it will only be troublesome for all the time. What are you suddenly getting up so fired about? What are you so suddenly getting fired up about? Hajime had an amazed expression. I guess the criticism about not relying on others wasn't understood. There, I could immediately point out Hajime's words from before. But, Nagumo-kun, you said that even if we challenged the Great Labyrinth now, we'd be killed. No, that was that other thing. Look, even who was incapable managed to do something about it. So you guys should be fine. You can do it. You can do it. In shortly, you need fighting spirit. Isn't that impossible? Hajime irresponsibly turned his eyes away from Aiko, who completely remembered his remark. As for Hajime, that dawn when they surpassed the limits of the world was something that he didn't mind allow his classmates to get a free pass into, but helping them obtaining a edge of God's magic from the first step was something he wanted absolutely nothing to do with. That was also another reason, but the loss of time. Nabu-kun, could I ask you a favor? Just once is fine. Even with just one edge of God's magic, it will make a decisive difference when fighting against the other great labyrinth. Won't you let us follow along just this once? If you plan on leeching then the magic won't be obtainable. It's acquired through your own actions attempted by the labyrinth. Of course, putting aside the God's case for now, we are also in the same in wanting to return home. We'll desperately challenge it with determined will. That's why I asked of you. Being saved several times and only being able to say our thanks for repaying our gratitude and kindness to you, but right now we can't do anything but rely on you. Please lend us your power once more. Shijuku, Shuju is also asking Nagumukun, I want to become stronger and have a talk with Eri once again. So I ask of you. This favor will definitely be repaid of if you take along Shuju and us. Up until now, Aiko had listened to their unreasonable words, but Shizuko earnestly wanted to help obtain the edge of God's magic. Her expression was stiff and uneasy as she felt sorry that she had to rely on them while not being able to repay their kindness. Shuju, who kept silent for a long time, was also influenced by Shizuku and lowered her head. It appears that she thought of various things about Eri. Her voice and expression carried desperation. Kyoki's eyebrows jumped up a little in reaction to the spectacle he saw, but in the end, he didn't say anything. Hajime was hesitating. Normally, taking along Kyoki and them to finish Haltinia Sea of Trees was troublesome and unthinkable. He wanted to quickly refuse them and tell them to go to whichever they want out of Orca's Great Labyrinth and the Risen Great Labyrinth. However, this time, after his battle with Nonito, his judgment was hesitating. That was because he thought of how to eliminate Nonitos as well as the influential men who were seen manipulated back in the past at the Meridian Sea ruin, who will likely be a nuisance. She was a doll who was embodiment of the god's will and literally the hands and the feet of the god that moved accordingly and secretly behind the scenes. If the god Apostles Nonito was clearly created, sure enough, can we be certain that there are not more than one? It may be overly optimistic in thinking so. Of course, you can't think that there is only one Nonito who Hajime had killed. There can be more than one, can be hundreds or thousands or even more. Then, if God Apostle Nonito had said Hajime was an irregular and the god's wish was to have him die while suffering. If so, then sure enough, it's logical to believe that they'll send in more existences like Nonitos. Assuming so, for the sake of that time, it would be a good idea to give Kyoki and them some power, Hajime thought. Although it was quite evil to throw others at the enemies which were after him, the hero has his mind set on fighting the gods, so there shouldn't be any problems, right? He thought lightly. In the end, he finally decided to accept their company and move towards the Haltinia Sea of Trees. For the time being, he glanced at the U and them for the confirmation, and it didn't appear that they had any objection. Shizuko and them had a smile of relief which leaked out. Hajime was thinking about the two remaining great labyrinths that would come in the future. Regardless of what is there, the ending of this travel was coming to end in the view. No matter the existences which block their path, no matter the situation they fall in, he'll beat up them by all means and return home, along with the importance that he believed in this world. That oath renewed his desire and included his new bonds, which piled up and became even stronger. While feeling the flame of determination growing bigger within his heart, Hajime quietly smiled. With this, I have completed the story which I think will be covered in the season 2 of the Arifureta, and I'll continue the story further after season 2 has been released and completed. So, till then, I'll end the story of the Allen right here. If you want to continue the story, continue reading it, I'll put the link in the description and in the comment section so you can take the link from there and continue your reading. Thank you very much for continuing your support on reading it and watching the video.